Oof, that's tolerant. Anyway, tonight, 9:30 PM GMT over on the Moisky Live channel, and I have checked this so it is in fact on, even with the current state visit taking place. I shall be hosting a PMQ's response. If it is what I believe it is, chances are it will be David Liddington against Emily Thornberry, which should be quite interesting. Also, and I'm going to do this as a kindness, a friend of mine lost his ability to stream on his channel for reasons beyond anyone's true understanding, so he has created a new channel called Skog Does Things. Much original, so actually I quite like the name. Link to his new channel in the description below along with the Moisky Live channel. Please consider subscribing to him. Now, under the guise of not doing anything remotely political on this channel for a little while, we've made it one day, let's see if we can make it two. We are going to talk about the circus. Many of you undoubtedly have mixed feelings about the circus. Myself, I only ever went to one. It was a Zippo circus when I was 14. I got to pet a baby tiger. It was amazing. It was nice to have such a small enclosed space to be entertained, because then it felt more real, as opposed to laughing with the crowd. You were laughing because it was funny. The spectacle of the trapeze artists, and some of the tricks done by the clowns themselves. It was amazing. So for me, clowns are fun. Certainly after growing up on WWF, having Doink and Dink. It was amusing. There is obviously the counter to that with It. The original one with Tim Curry was quite something. Didn't scare me though. But clowns over the years have become seen as more of a, do you touch kids thing? Now, to go to the other side of the road on this one, there are those who are also scared of clowns. Scared of the circus. Scared of the spectacle for reasons that I'm sure are totally rational. To be honest, this isn't actually relevant to what I want to talk about. I just want to talk about the circus for a moment. Clowns are just a nice little byproduct. But with the circus, you have many different performers and entertainers. And to maintain what they do, a tremendous amount of effort goes into what they do. Their craft is quite something. I'm sure their insurance bill is too. Seriously. For this story, we're going to inject two people. These two people. Luis Posa and Diane Median Flores. They look so happy, don't they? Luis Poso had a son called Eduardo, who was then by extension Diane Flores' stepson. There were 3 other children in their care, but according to Child Protective Services they are completely healthy, which means that Eduardo was singled out for reasons I have yet to understand. Luis Poso and Diane Median Flores have been charged with felony neglect of a child after Eduardo had passed away shortly after he was brought to a hospital in Bloomington. This is according to a statement that the Monroe County Sheriff's Office put out. It's quite an accusation to be accused of abusing a child and neglecting a child, and starving them no less. But then the evidence that has been mentioned starts to paint a rather unfortunate picture. You see, while the promoters were touring the country, they were staying in a motel. The deputies, upon investigating the motel room, found a box of restraints which also included a dog collar with shocks. Now, if anyone knows anything about those, I might play a clip of the sidemen with those. They used one for shock penalties, I believe it's called, on their arm and on their legs. It is quite amusing.
Hey guys, this is KSI, and this is the shocking shot. Oh god. You know, like Jackass? See what I did there? Okay.
Right, is it recording?
2, 3, 2, 1.
Up to 6. 3!
You both run.
Up to 65. 1, go!
Oh, you fucking dickhead! Oh, you are such a dick!
Keep the ball. Keep the ball.
You're almost there. Go get it. Come on, up. I'll give you 5 seconds. This shit is so painful.
I'm a pain.
Look, you got 5 seconds of time and not shocking. 5, 4,
this might seem a bit suspect upon hearing about the dog collar and the shocks, but then there's another piece of information that comes out, and this reminds me of something from another book, of parental abuse of a child, where of 3 children, only one of them was subject to horrific abuse at the hands of the mother. I will certainly address that in a moment. Now, the additional evidence was a cell phone video which showed Eduardo restrained in a bathtub, while Flores and the other children went and used the bathroom without even acknowledging him, which is where it reminds me of a book called A Child Called It, by David Pelzer. Is that his name? He wrote the book based on his own life. It was absolutely harrowing, to the point where his mother made him sit in a bathtub that was full with his head under the water, and he had to use a straw to breathe, or he had to use his arms and legs while being arched over an open flame on a gas hob, where his form of sustenance was gulping down water from puddles, or being given food by friends at school, to the point where his mother would make him throw up just to make sure there was nothing in him, which upon reciting and remembering actually makes me very cross. I don't like child abuse, okay? Additional evidence would include that the investigators located a selfie Poso took with the boy while he was restrained. Treating your son the way you did, and mocking him the way you did, bringing him down, humiliating him, destroying him, serves no purpose. You are starving your kid because you are stuffing it in your double-chinned face, Mr. Poso. You do not deserve much, and I doubt anyone in my comments will agree that you deserve anything less than to be beasted like no other. I'm sure they'll take the S out of that, but that's on them. When the boy was declared deceased, they noticed, upon some investigations, bruising all over the skeletal frame, which sounds like I'm over-exaggerating, but I'm not. Turns out he had 0% body fat. He had been tortured to the very brink of his existence. Now, the excuse given by Flores and Poso is that while they denied starving the kid, they physically abused him, which they admitted to, because, and I quote, he acted up more than the other kids. He's 12. You don't beat him. Look at you. All you have to do is sit on him. You don't have to beat a kid for them to understand what is wrong. If they act up, you take your damn time with them. Show them that you care for their well-being. Show them that you care that they succeed. Show them that what they did was wrong. If they don't understand that, then get help. Because I'm sure if you are patient, and I think patience is something many don't seem to understand in this current age, you have to be patient with people, or they will not learn. So many people are in such a rush that they will resort to the 0 to 100 and get to 100 as fast as possible, because they'd rather do that than take the time to go through what must be a rather arduous journey to get the very best out of somebody, and to experience something that will actually make you closer. Mr. Poso, this is your son, and you betrayed him because you had zero idea how to be a father. If my father, by the way, did this to me when I was a kid, he'd be dead by now. And that's not me saying I would have killed him. That's me telling you what people where I grew up would have done, because no one tolerates this. You only lucked out because you were on the road so much. Nobody would have had a chance to see the damage you did. Now back to the case itself. Many of you will undoubtedly be wondering why it's currently neglect as a charge. Well, that's because the deputies are currently waiting for the coroners to determine what the cause of the boy's passing was. If they determine it to be because of the abuse and starvation, then yes, the charge does in fact become murder. I will keep you up to date on this, because if this does go all the way down that road, there is an inevitable conclusion to it. Both Poso and Flores will be wearing face paint in a prison and being made to be someone's butt clown. You'll have a smile on your face, it just won't be a real one. Like a real clown. You're gonna need a lot of paint for your face though, Mr. Poso. You literally ate all the pies and gave your kid nothing. When people talk about wanting to castrate people, you are the example others give for why this should happen. Anyway, I would love to know what all of you think about this particular case. I will link the article down below. It is sickening, and I hope justice prevails. For me, and I'm going to do this as Judge Moist, once the coroner gives a verdict, if it is murder, the sentence is life without parole. If the sentence stays as neglect of a child, I'm sticking with life without parole. Your job as parents is to care for children because children cannot care for themselves. You betrayed your child. For that, there is no freedom you could possibly earn. And I firmly believe you would be hard-pressed to find anyone who would support you two being allowed out of prison, or being allowed anywhere near children ever again. Anyway, if I don't see you tonight over on the Moisky Live channel, I hope you all have a lovely, lovely Wednesday, and thank you all for listening.